Michael O'Byrne and Leanne Cusack.
The stats reflect it. More couples argue about money than anything else, although sex is apparently a close second. Today, ordained minister and mortgage specialist Kathleen Cott is here to prevent those arguments. Her book, From Marriages to Mortgages, she writes about the process of buying a home can actually strengthen a relationship. If you have questions about mortgages or even marriage and money, Kathleen Cott will be taking your calls in a very short while. But first, how the book was born. You were a mortgage specialist before you were a minister, were you?
Yep, that's correct.
And you felt that there was a need because, as you said, it's a huge source of discord in relationships.
Well, Leanne, one of the things that I could probably share with you is that, just more than 50 years ago, women got the vote in Canada. And so we really didn't have a whole lot of information about finances and how to deal with that. So I think what we've done a lot of the times is pass along our fears from generation to generation. And the young women these days have an awful lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge, and just some things that I think would be useful is having an opportunity to look at the nurturing side of how we approach our finances.
And we're going to get into sort of the relationships. We're going to get into the questions you should ask before you walk down the aisle. You were a single mom, and you have two grown sons now and one who's still in his teens.
That's correct.
And so you know how tough it was financially to juggle and create a reality for yourself. So how does that affect your point of view as you're sitting there as a mortgage specialist?
It really affects my point of view because I'm very compassionate about what people have gone through and how important it is to really be open, to really learning, and just sort of to let the fear be present, but just walk through the fear and you'll manage. It'll come through.
Some of the things that we're hearing about mortgages in Canada right now is that really people should shop and you can negotiate and you have more power than you think. What advice do you give clients?
The shopping part is not necessarily a good thing. It can actually shoot yourself in the foot. If you're shopping, you're actually having hits to your credit bureau. What's really valuable is to establish a relationship with one person that you feel comfortable with, especially if they're a mortgage broker, because they're going to shop the market on your behalf, only using one copy of your credit bureau, not having lots of different inquiries on your credit bureau.
Explain that if you would.
Yeah.
What do you mean you have hits on your credit bureau, and how can that impact you?
Well, when you're a consumer these days, the marketplace has changed so much in the last 5 years. And so good-intentioned parents have been telling us many different things, but because the marketplace has changed, it can actually impact you in a negative way. When you go from one lending institution to another asking for, what's the best rate, it's not necessarily the best rate that you're going to be receiving because there's so much different product. Nobody knows who you are. They're just going to throw a number at you. And then you have inquiries on your credit bureau, so it looks like you're shopping around. In the marketplace that we're in today with Privacy Act, Money Laundering Act, Anti-Terrorist Act, it creates red flags for lenders to say, who are you and what are you doing?
Interesting.
Yeah, your credit bureau really reflects who you are, so you want to make sure you protect that really well.
So who do you want to benefit from this book? Who's your target audience, Kathleen?
Well, the target audience is a number of different people. It would be the parents of people who are young. It would be the young people themselves. The majority of people will be women, probably, that will be looking at this book, but it's also going to be anyone that's shopping for a mortgage. So there's many things to consider.
Now, how many couples actually sit down and talk finance before they talk about everything else, like the furniture they want to buy, the neighborhood they want to live in? It's one of those topics that often is ignored before marriage, and then it's a huge issue after marriage. Tell us what you see both in your ministry and in your office as a mortgage specialist.
One of the very first things that I suggest to clients when they come to see me is we're micromanaging. It's not the way to do it. You really have to look with broad vision at the landscape of your life to really plug in some of the financial things, some of the personal things, some of your passions and your dreams, and then look at where the mortgage is going to fit in.
Passions and dreams before money.
Passions and dreams before money, because the money is simply a tool and it's not the objective. If we're living our life to pay bills, it's not a happy relationship. We really need to put the relationship first and allow the mortgage to complement what it is that we're doing. And when we do the landscape and really look at it like an artist that's doing a drawing, then we can sit back and we can look and say, oh, it's not just the interest rate. It's not just the mortgage payment, it's a combination of things.
That's interesting. You use the word landscape. Often what we end up hearing is you have to have a solid foundation, but you're saying make sure the landscape is great before you even contemplate the foundation.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to be back with Kathleen Cott with questions about mortgages or even marriage and money. Kathleen Cott will be taking your calls in a short while. She's just written From Marriages to Mortgages, a book about how to start your married life and home ownership on a solid financial foundation. Kathleen is taking calls at 613-750-1211 or at 1-888-750-1211. And you're really wanting to hammer home the point that we take care of our bodies often and other elements of our lives, but finances low kid on the totem pole.
Yeah, and you know, that's really the key. We really have to exercise that and recognize we do all need coaches and we do need mentors in our world. And you know, it's somebody that you really feel comfortable with is really what you should be looking at first when you're making a choice.
And it's one of the most significant things you'll end up doing.
Largest debt of your lifetime.
We're going to take the largest debt of your lifetime. Everyone's taking a big breath now, and we have Susan on the line. Susan, have you embarked on the largest debt of your lifetime yet? Hi there, Susan.
Hi, sorry, I can barely hear you.
Do you have your TV turned up?
I have it off now.
Okay, perfect. Now, I asked if you've embarked on the largest debt of your lifetime, a mortgage. What's your question for Kathleen?
My question is, I heard that if you have a debt, like a line of credit that you're looking to pay off, that you can tack that line of credit onto your mortgage if you have collateral in your house, and I'm wondering if that's something that you would recommend.
Refinance is always a good idea, and the reason why you want to do a refinance, in my mind, is to balance access to cash and cash flow. The equity in your home is a really good place to start with because it's usually something that's appreciating, and you want to be accessing what's appreciating and paying cash for things that depreciate. Consumer debt is usually much more expensive lending for you, and it's worthwhile to be using the mortgage, which is at a lower interest rate and creates a lower payment monthly. So that is something that, you know, may be useful, but not just using that as an isolation, but taking a look at the overall picture and how you're managing your finances is really worthwhile to sit down with somebody and review all together.
And is there a cost to doing that? Your bank, do you know, usually?
Well, no, and the mortgage broker normally doesn't charge anything for you to sit down and just review. They're going to go over a lot of things with you, and it's really worthwhile to have somebody review it with you.
So the review won't cost you anything, but I think what you were asking, Susan, is whether or not the combination of the two will cost you anything. Am I correct?
That's correct.
The combination of putting the line of credit in with your mortgage, there are costs. There's going to be appraisal costs. Sometimes if it's high ratio, you won't have to be paying for the appraisal. And there will be some legal fees that you'll be charged in order to put that together. So again, it's about looking at the management of the debt and which way is best for you. And that's something that would come out in the process.
Thanks.
So to have an initial consultation, it wouldn't cost anything, though.
No, but it's worthwhile to do. It's worthwhile to have that.
I have a question for you. Sorry to interrupt you there, Kathleen, but since you called us, my question for you is, are you married?
Yes, I am.
And how do the money talks go in your household?
It affects marriage.
There you go. Case in point. Thanks for your call, Susan. Good luck with everything. We have on the line Jean. Hi there, Jean.
Hello.
Hi.
I have a question, please. My sister owns the first mortgage on my house, and then she gave me a private mortgage so that I've been owner for 4 years. If I want to sell the property, do I have to have her permission?
Is she on title on the property?
No, I am.
No, you don't have to have her permission to sell the property. You own the rights for that.
Okay, so I just have to pay off her mortgage, and then I can go ahead quite freely.
Yeah, there may be some conditions in your mortgage that you might want to review with a lawyer, because that's really helpful for you to ensure that you have some legal advice on this.
Okay.
And not being privy to what your mortgage documents really are, saying, and each one is different.
Yes.
It would be well worth your while to speak with your lawyer first before you proceed to sell your house.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks for your call, Jane.
Bye.
And bye-bye. This is a very busy weekend for you because you're launching the book.
Yep.
You're doing a huge book signing. We have information on the screen about that. And then you leave the book signing to perform a wedding.
Yes, performing a wedding.
Now, are you making sure that the couple getting married attend the book signing before they...
No. I happen to know this couple very well, and and he's actually part of a networking group I belong to, but I've been performing weddings every weekend, and it's one of the most beautiful things that I do, and a very wonderful place of privilege to stand before the bride and groom. It really is. I truly love doing this, and it to me is what we're all meant to do in life, is to be on the path of love and enjoy the experience. So it's a pleasure for me.
Great to have you here. Good luck with your new book. Do you slide anything about finances in when they're standing before you?
Always.
Thanks a lot, Kathleen.
Thank you very much, Leanne.